Hey guys, it's Matt and Debbie Bebout again, wanting to talk to you about how to have a successful marriage. Our last topic was communication. The next few topics are going to be starting with the letter C as well, and today's topic is conflict resolution. You know, we all have conflicts in our marriage. It doesn't matter if you've been married a year or if you've been married 80 years, you're going to have conflict at some point. I remember one time someone said, if you're not having conflict in your marriage, then one person's not needed. In other words, it just doesn't make sense. You don't have conflict. And a marriage without conflict really is not healthy, because you don't, become sanctified, closer to God. You don't, look at those areas in your life that need to be worked on. If for some reason you never have conflict, then you must be perfect. But we all have conflict. And so we want to talk about some of the different ways that you can resolve conflict. One of them is to discuss the topic at hand. You want to make sure that the topic that you're discussing has to deal with the situation that you're working on at that moment. The conflict that comes up needs to be on topic. And, Debbie can explain that here in just a second. But, bringing up the past, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, it kind of goes along with what he was saying. If you're not discussing the topic at hand, a lot of times, especially as women, we tend to bring up the past, past mistakes. We kind of throw them in the guy's face. And that's really kind of goes into the next one. I was going to talk about fighting fair. When you do that kind of thing, it's not fighting fair. When you bring up the past, that's not what we're really talking about at that time, so we try not to bring up past mistakes and past failures and things like that. And, words that we try to avoid too is saying things like always, well, you always whatever forget to pick up your socks, or whatever, or you never. We try to not use words like never as well, because those are just not really fighting fair words. So those are some of the words that we try to avoid using when we're resolving a conflict.
Yeah, and another thing is the different types of being angry. Of course, we're working on that like everyone else is, but you can't be sulking. You can't just stick your tail between your legs and just kind of go off and sulk. Another thing is passive aggressive, and that's kind of like you don't say you're angry, but the way you're acting, conveys that you're angry. You may not come out and scream and yell, which is also something else you shouldn't do. That's not fighting fair either. But passive aggressive is just that way of kind of just by your actions, you're like, you're kind of digging at them without saying things. You've been around those kind of people. Maybe you're one of those people. Also, a yeller and a screamer, that doesn't accomplish anything. And the Bible tells us to be angry and sin not, and so we have to be careful with that. And so those are a couple other things, as well as when it comes to bedtime.
Right. We always, and I'm sure a lot of people have said this and will say it again, is don't go to bed angry. We try very hard to make sure, my husband's very good at it actually, that if something's bothering us, he'll just come in there and won't leave me alone until we kind of at least talk about it and try to come up with a resolution to the conflict, and I'm kind of one of those people sometimes that he talks about the passive aggressive. There's a country song out there that says, I just want to be mad for a while, and sometimes I take that to heart, and and I even tell him that. We tease about it sometimes, but it's really not healthy, and he has a way of kind of pulling me out of that sometimes, and like, we're going to talk about it, and a lot of times it's just a healthy way of making sure that conflict is resolved then, because if not, that kind of is why sometimes we tend to bring up things in the past, maybe is because it never did get resolved. So if you can not go to bed angry, you'll probably have a lot more successful marriage if you keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of brings me to my kind of closing comments is we need to know each other's kind of fighting style, if you will. Some people kind of joke, just joking here, but some people, are karate people. Some people are knife experts, and of course we don't use knives in karate. But what I mean is, I do have to recognize that she just needs to kind of think through things and kind of, step away for a while. Whereas I'm the person that likes to lash out and say things, and sometimes I say things out of anger. So both of those, if they're left unchecked can be harmful. And so you need to know what your spouse's fighting style is. You need to know what your own fighting style is. So that means you need to be doing some inward looking, inward focusing. Look at your own self and see those things you can work on. And we got a few more messages for you coming up. Appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. Again, this is Matt and Debbie Be About saying, don't talk about it, be about it. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.